Put away those scented candles because today we'll be baking an apple crumble pie that will make your house smell like fall all over again. So I pre-made my pie crust, but if you'd like to see how I make this crust, I'll put a link in my description on how to make pie crust. So we'll be making an apple crumble pie today. So we're gonna start off with that crumb topping. Our first ingredients will be a half cup of all-purpose flour plus 2 tablespoons, half cup of lighter dark brown sugar, half cup of granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then we got a half cup of salted butter, ice cold and cubed. And we're just gonna chop this up, get it all crumbled together. Okay, so your pastry cutter does most of the work, but you're still gonna need to get your hands in there a little bit and kind of smash it together and work that flour into the butter a little bit. See the texture as you grab it and you loosen it. Okay, so now we'll place this in the refrigerator so it keeps its form, and then we're gonna grab the apples and we're gonna peel them and slice them. Okay, so you're gonna wanna use 7 medium Granny Smith apples. These are tardy and they pair well with your crumb topping. And we're just going to peel them and then we'll slice them into 1/4 inch slices. You may have an easier method of doing this, but it's just the way I grew up doing it, so I'm used to it. All right, that part's done. So now we're gonna grab these apples and we're gonna start slicing them. Okay, so that's our last apple. Cut these guys in half. And what you're gonna do right now, we're gonna preheat this oven to 450. Okay. And we are going to grab 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and a half cup of granulated sugar, okay, and I got 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, half teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. And we're just going to toss this around. All right, that is looking perfect. Now we're going to grab our pie shell. Here we are. And we're going to pour these apples into it. We're going to try to keep them flat, and as we're putting it in here, just kind of push them down a little bit so they're filling in the spaces. Pour them all in there. And if you prefer more apples in your pie, go ahead. It'll be nice and delicious either way. All right, so our apples are layered, and now I've got my crumb topping, and I'm just kind of breaking it up a little bit here just to make sure that it's got a nice crumble to it. Just gonna kind of gently crumble it around. Make sure you get the edges well as well. It's gonna help these apples cook. You can definitely use more apples if you like in this recipe. If you like to build it up higher. And kind of start to press down a little bit around the edges. Make sure you press down the edges real well. You want to seal this crust in. Cook those apples. That's all done. Now it's ready to go into your oven at 450 and for 15 minutes, and then we're going to reduce the temperature down to 350 and we'll bake it for another 45 minutes. And we'll bring it out, let it cool down for a couple hours, unfortunately, before we cut it and slice it. Ready. Now just look at this apple crumble pie full of spices and tart apples that complement that crumble topping. Now time to cut it. We're still slightly warm in the middle. Top it with your favorite ice cream or some whipped cream. Grab a piece of that ice cream. I let it sit a little bit longer, it'll melt over the pie, but I just cannot wait to taste it. Now that was worth waiting for. You get that crunch from your crumble topping, and the flaky crust is so delicious. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this pie as much as I do. Try my recipe out, you're gonna love it. And I'll see you next time on Melody Makes It Homemade.